Greetings and welcome to this lesson on argumentative essays. What is an argumentative essay? An argumentative essay is a piece of writing that takes a stance on an issue. So this means that you're going to give your opinion and say whether you agree or disagree about the topic in question. In a good argumentative essay, a writer attempts to persuade readers to understand and support their point of view about a topic by stating their reasoning and providing evidence to back it up. So in other words, you're giving your opinion and convincing the reader on your point of view. So let's look at a typical examination question. So there are two argumentative questions here. So just take a few moments to look at these two questions. You can pause the video at this stage and look at the questions. So the first thing that you need to do when you get the question paper is to read the topic carefully and underline the main points of the topic. Now let's have a look at these two questions. As you can see, these are the areas you should underline when you have a look at these questions. So these will help you to ensure that you plan your essay properly and write a proper answer. At this stage also, you need to decide whether you are for or against the topic. Okay, so you need to decide, okay, do I agree with this topic or do I disagree? You need to decide that from the beginning itself. If you don't do this, you're going to be confused and you might find that there is no flow in terms of the essay that you write, and it will also affect your planning as well. So decide at the beginning itself whether you're going to agree with the argument or whether you're going to disagree with the argument. So as I mentioned, planning is crucial when you're tackling any sort of essay. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail, and this is very true because just don't start writing immediately. You have to take a few moments and plan out your essay and decide what are you going to write for each of the sections. What am I going to write for my introduction? What am I going to write for my points in the body? And what am I going to write for my conclusion? And you should spend approximately maybe 5 to 10 minutes on planning. So you have a total of 45 minutes, and I know for the directed writing you also again have 45 minutes because directed writing the marks are out of 30, and so for this essay also the marks are out of 30, but for directed writing the word count is less, and plus you have been given instructions as to what you need to write. But in this essay writing, you have not been told what to do. So ideally you should spend more than 45 minutes, but since the marks are out of 30 for both of these tasks, I have just divided the time and given 45 minutes for this task. So you should spend about 5 to 10 minutes planning, and then possibly spend 25 minutes writing, and then possibly 5 minutes checking. These are just rough estimates or a rough guideline. You need to decide how long you're going to spend. Ideally, I would say you should spend maybe 30 minutes on directed writing and then the remaining time on the essay writing, since you have to think a lot and just come out with your own ideas compared to directed writing. So it's up to you to decide on how long you're going to spend. So this should be the structure of your plan. Okay, so as I said, you should maybe spend about 5 to 10 minutes planning what you're going to write. So you have your introduction paragraph, then you should set aside 3 paragraphs for your argument, so that means 3 points. and then you should set aside one paragraph just to briefly mention the other side of the argument. This is just to give a little bit of a balance to your essay, and then finally your conclusions. And the word count, as you can see, is between 300 and 500 words, but I suggest that you try to go up to the maximum of 500. Okay, so as you can see, there are in total 5 paragraphs. So if you just divide it, that means roughly 100 words each. So that will easily cover the word count. So what should you include in your introductory paragraph? You need to write a general sentence about the topic. Then you need to add an extra sentence to support the first. Then you need to focus on the question in your own words. And then finally, state your opinion and tell the reader your plan. So this is very important. Right at the beginning itself, you should mention your opinion, whether you agree or whether you disagree. So let's look at some model introductions for these two questions. So here's the model introduction for the first question, and here's the model introduction for the second question. So just take a few moments and just go through these introductions and see whether those areas that I mentioned earlier have been covered. Just try to understand how an introduction should be when it comes to an argumentative essay. So you can pause the video at this stage and just take some time to go through these two introductions. So let's look at what we need to include in the paragraphs that are in the body. So we need to start each paragraph with a topic sentence, the point of argument, because the reader needs to know what topic each paragraph will cover. So a topic sentence will help the reader to identify this. So in the body, once you mention the topic sentence, then you need to explain the point further. And what's important is you need to give plenty of examples to back up your points. So these are actually your arguments. Okay, these are your arguments. So you must have examples, because if you've been in a debate, you would know that when you're debating, you need to give a lot of examples, statistics to back up your argument. So same thing here in argumentative essay. You don't just write a topic sentence and you don't just explain what the topic is about, but you need to also give examples to back up your argument. So this is very important to remember. So here is an example paragraph for question 1 and an example paragraph for question 2. So just see, so here as you can see in the first one, the topic sentence is what? An only child may feel lonely as they grow up without a sibling. So the reader will know this paragraph is all about this. And in the second one, it says the current education system is outdated. So the reader will know that this paragraph is about this topic here. So take a few moments just to go through these two examples. So you can pause the video at this stage and have a look at these examples. A single paragraph to briefly mention the opposite point of view. This is needed to give some balance to your essay. So this is very essential, to be honest, because it's kind of pointless just putting all your arguments and then not mentioning the other side a little bit as well, because if you mention a little bit about the other side, it helps to reiterate your point a little bit, because the reader will only see just your side and will not see the other side. So the reader needs to get a glimpse of the other side, a little glimpse of the other side as well. So then that will really give a balanced perspective to the reader in terms of your argument. So it's very important that the final paragraph before the conclusion is a paragraph dedicated to talk about the other side of the argument. here are the examples for that paragraph we were just talking about. So as you can see, the introductory topic sentence is there on both of these. And finally, the conclusion. So you need to write a general one-sentence summary, a focused summary of the main points after that, and then finally reiterate your opinion. So you mentioned your opinion right at the beginning, but it's also important that you reiterate your opinion right at the end as well, in the conclusion. So once again, here are the examples, the example conclusions for question number 1 and question number 2. So take a few moments to have a look at these conclusions. So you can pause this video at this stage. So a few things to remember. You are not listing points or stating your opinion. You're trying to convince the examiner that your opinion is correct using logical point. So basically, to be honest, you are stating your opinion a little bit, but when I say you're stating your opinion, you're saying that whether you agree or disagree. So basically that is your opinion. You're saying this is why I agree with this and this is why I disagree with this. Okay, so as it states here, you need to convince the examiner of your argument. So that's why you need to have those 3 paragraphs with your points in terms of your argument, and then that final paragraph before the conclusion to just give a balanced view. So just to give emphasis to what you're saying and to state that what you're saying is right, but what the other side is saying is wrong. Okay, and it says don't get emotional and carried away over the course of your writing. Don't be prejudiced. Yes, it doesn't matter if the topic is about something you're passionate about. Don't get emotional, don't be biased. Okay, just have a balanced view. It's just an essay and you're writing it for an exam. You're not writing it in some sort of magazine or something like that. Okay, but even if you write in those magazines or newspapers or websites, you need to have a balanced viewpoint and you should not get carried away or get emotional. Okay, because your writing will definitely reflect it. Okay, and the next one is do not emphasize too much on vocabulary. Okay, sentence structures, punctuation, tenses are all equally as important as vocabulary. Don't forcibly use strong words if you don't know their correct usage. So this is a mistake a lot of students do. They learn heavy words from somewhere, either from reading books, on the news, or maybe from a website, and they try to use them in their essays. Now this is not going to score you any points. What will score you points is your sentence structure, the fluency of your writing, the correct use of grammar, especially tenses, and also yes, good vocabulary, but not unnecessary vocabulary. So please be careful. Don't use heavy words just for the sake of using heavy words, because if you use them in the wrong context, the idea that you're trying to get across will come across incorrectly to the examiner, or in this case the reader. Okay, right? So please make sure don't use unnecessary vocabulary. And then the final thing is you're not making a list of your points. Don't use firstly, secondly, thirdly, and finally. Remember, your language is being tested. Use good expressions and connectives such as furthermore, in addition to this. So basically, yes, you are giving points in terms of your arguments, but don't put them across as points. Put them across as arguments. Okay, these are the strong arguments that you have against whatever the statement is in the question. Okay, so don't say firstly, secondly, thirdly. There are better phrases and words that you can use. Furthermore, however, in addition, etc., things like that. So these are things you need to remember when you're writing an argumentative essay. So that brings to an end this lesson on argumentative essays. I do hope that you will use this lesson to help you to revise before your exams, and you can go through this over and over again until you are able to master the writing of argumentative essays. In my opinion, writing an argumentative essay is comparatively easier compared to writing a story. So the choice is yours. Should you choose to write an argumentative essay, please do go to this lesson and try to practice as much as you can. And the other piece of advice that I need to give you is try to read as much as possible in terms of non-fiction. Try to avoid novels and things like that. Try to focus on reading a lot more non-fiction, good quality non-fiction on various topics. There are many things happening on the news if you switch it on and have a look at it. So you really need to have some in-depth knowledge about the things of the world and what's going on. So these things will really help you to give a solid answer in terms of your argumentative essay. So good luck to you in your exams and all the best. Thank you.